Rune Factory 5 is basically my most anticipated game in a long time, so I got the nice collector's edition here. But one of the concerns a lot of people had when they announced the game and showed the first trailers is first of all the frame rate and then the loading times. And today I want to just showcase how bad they are and if they really matter. I restarted my Switch, so this is not from sleep mode, and we are just starting Rune Factory 5 right now. And it takes a little bit to load at the beginning. And a lot of people were concerned that it takes a long time just to load when you enter a building, when you enter the open world. And especially for a game like Harvest Moon Rune Factory, it's a big deal because you enter and leave buildings a lot in these games. So when you have to wait for 20-30 seconds every time, it adds up in the end. And you see, it tells you, okay, auto-saving, but starting the game, it's not really a problem. It takes a bit to load, but let's be honest, we are not restarting games all the time on the Switch. We just enter sleep mode and the game is right there. So let's load my save right here. You can see there are even frame rate problems on the loading screen. So yes, I can already tell you the frame rate is the bigger problem between the two. And if you are very sensitive to frame rate issues, this is not the game to get. So wait for the inevitable PS4, PS5, PC port, just so they can improve on the performance. So you see we are loading into our house from the main menu. Not too long, right? Okay, you're not loading from the main menu a lot. And now from our house, which is pretty small, we enter the open world map. And it loads a little bit. This is probably the longest it's ever going to load. So the first time when you boot up your Switch, you exit your house and it's loading the open world. It's not really a big deal. You see we are already here and you're not loading into the main map a lot because it is an open world. So you can walk from up here all the way down here without any loading zones. So you're not loading into the open world a lot. It's only when you enter and exit a building. So now we exited our main house. Let's just go right back in and see how long it loads. And we are already in. Really not a big deal. So loading into buildings, not a big deal. So let's exit back into the open world. It's right there. So it's only really loading the first time. Now let's try teleporting from the open world to the open world. So let's just choose a warp point, teleporting right there. And it doesn't take a long time at all. So the load times you see in the trailers or in the first gameplay videos, they don't really bother you that much. So let's choose some random house to get into. I think this inn should be open. And it loads for maybe, what is that, 5 seconds, 6 seconds, and we are in the house. And inside the houses there are no loading times. We are exiting back out into the open world and we are right here. So the loading times, once you loaded the open world and once you loaded the game, really it's not a problem. It's not as bad as it looks when you watch gameplay. Just the same as the frame rate. Of course, in this video, I'm filming at 60 FPS. It probably looks terrible, but while you are playing, really not a big deal. And the frame rate is the worst in the town, in the open world. Inside of dungeons, like, it's not perfect, but it's perfectly doable. It's hitting 30 FPS, I think, pretty regularly. Now, when we have a bigger party, because you can recruit some party members, let's go into my barn and choose 3 party members to take with us. let's see if that increases the loading times between areas. So, and you have to load into every building you go, even these barns. Yes, the loading times are frequent, but they are not long. And especially, I mean, when you're like new to games and you've been growing up with streaming world maps, like maybe it bothers you, but I mean, I still play PS1 RPGs pretty regularly. Oh, didn't mean to do that. And I still play Xbox 360 games, PS3 games. I still play PS2 games pretty regularly. And like these loading times are nothing. So let's teleport with our party back into the city. And let's go to the, let's see, the Great Tree Plaza. So we are loading from a complete different map with 3 party members into the open world. And it takes a bit longer than loading from and to buildings within the open world. These farm dragons are basically their own maps. So we have to reload the open world a couple of times. And that can be a bit annoying because the farm dragons is where you have your barn. So now we have all our party members who follow us around, and yes, as soon as you have a full party, the frame rate it's taking another hit. Yeah, so you may want to run around solo if you do some easy quests or something. But yeah, your team members are going to take care of a lot of fighting for you, so it's not a problem that you have to push the like millisecond precise action buttons all the time. You can just stand idly and let your team members do all the work. Okay, now inside of buildings, there. Oh, I didn't want to. Here, inside the bedroom. So inside of buildings, your team members are not going to follow you. So when we load into our home again, it will load for a few seconds, and in here we are alone. Now let's exit, and our team members should appear as well. And I would say the loading times are maybe a little bit longer, but I would lie if I said during normal game time I would notice that. So just running around in the open world, if you can live with frequent like 5-second loading times, and every now and then having maybe a 10-second loading time, you're going to love this game. And by the way, I'm loving this game. Like I think Rune Factory 4, which I started playing last year, it is one of the best RPGs I've ever played. And this one goes into a very different direction, but does a just as good job at doing it as Rune Factory 4. So you see here our team members are going to attack all of the enemies. We can just stand around and do nothing. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed my little loading time showcase of this game. Like I said, if you're really a graphics whore, this game is not going to satisfy you. If you really can feel the frame rate drops, I cannot. I mean, it's a bit annoying, but it doesn't bother me. This is not the version to get. Wait for the... It's not announced, it's not official, but I would be very surprised if they didn't do a PlayStation port, maybe even an Xbox port and a PC port too. They did that with the last Rune Factory 4 got a port, Friends of Mineral Town got a port, so I would be very surprised and confused with the decision not to port this to other systems. So wait for another port, but if that stuff doesn't really bother you, the Switch version of Rune Factory 5 is perfectly fine. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time. Bye.